Hello and welcome to another episode of Battle Ready. It's just me today because today we're doing a little bit of a how-to, and that is how to fix your models. So if you play for any length of time, you're going to break some models. You can be very careful with them. We try to be very careful with them, but unless you are, the kind of person who just paints and displays, nothing wrong with that, no shade. But if you actually play with the models where you're picking them up and you're measuring and you're moving them around and you're carrying them from the table to the dead pile where they're dead after they've been killed, you're gonna, it's not uncommon to drop a model here or there. It's not uncommon for a model to snag on another model, especially things like Nighthaunt, Daughters of Cain, um, the thinner and more spindly the model, the easier. You drop an Ogre, you're probably going to be fine. You drop some Nighthaunt, or you drop something like even an Ogre, right? You drop like the artillery piece. I forget what it's called. It's all spindly. There's things connecting. Easy to break. So when something breaks, you don't cry. You don't fall on the floor and rue the day. You fix it. And for a lot of things, this is my box of various tools related to the hobby. But for a lot of things, you can fix with super glue. Now, I keep my super glue in a baggie just in case the lid gets loose or whatever, it squirts out. It's all going to be contained in here. But super glue works great. I mean, some people call it CA glue. It stands for, what does it stand for? Cyanoacrylate. Anyway, it's super glue. Works super duper well. It forms a nice bond once it dries that makes tearing apart this way very difficult. Sliding, not as hard, but still pretty good. The only problem is super glue requires you to have some amount of surface area, right? There's got to be enough to adhere something to something and to stick on there. It doesn't have to be huge, but there has to be enough. And so every once in a while, you get something like this guy, this little Nighthaunt guy. I'll put a picture up. And when we were putting away our Nighthaunt this last time, his little arm got broken off. And let me tell you, without that arm holding looks like a mace or some kind of spiked mace, he's not that scary. He's not that scary. I mean, he's a ghost. Ghosts are scary inherently, I guess. But he's just, what's he going to do on the battlefield? Nothing. He's going to yell. So we really need to get this back on. Now, super glue here is going to be not effective. There's just not enough purchase for it. But one thing that does work really well is Bondic. So I got Bondic in my Christmas stocking a couple years back. It's really good. Now this guy, his arm has broken off before, so there's a little bit of Bondic still on here. So I'm going to get the camera and we're going to do a close-up here so you can see sort of what I'm saying. Okay, so here I've got him right here. Now because Bondic, and it's not sponsored, this is not a sponsored thing, it's just something I use. Bondic isn't an adhesive the same way that super glue is, where the sticky stuff's in there and then it evaporates and then the sticky stuff holds the stuff together. Instead, it's sort of like a resin. And so it's the same sort of stuff that the goo they put in your teeth and then they use a light to harden it when they fill your cavities. It's that stuff. So I've got some on here from before, so I'm just going to clip that off. I don't need to hit this extra Bondic on here. It's not doing anything. It's not helping anyone. So you can see maybe right there on the edge. I'm just going to clip it off. Okay. With that out, I'm going to go ahead and get some of the stuff. And unlike super glue, like I said, the Bondic does not evaporate. So whatever you put on is going to be on. So you don't want to glom it on too much, but you do want sort of a healthy application so that it sticks in there pretty good. So I've got that on there. I'm going to put his little hand on, and then we hit it with the light. And now when the light hits it, you can tell it's hitting a lot of stuff. This is probably not the first, definitely not the first, maybe not even the second time I fixed this little hand. And then it's okay to put just a little bit more on. And the reason is because Bondic dries when it's fully cured. When it's fully cured, it is really, really, really transparent. Now, if you were to pick up this model and give it a close examination, right, I would never want to enter this into some kind of competition. I mean, not that it's painted well enough anyway, but if you're going to see. But on the tabletop from just a little bit away, it's very difficult to see that there's anything on it. Now, when you shine the light on it, you can tell. Yeah, there's definitely something on it. But when the light goes off, it blends in pretty well. And that is how to fix with Bondic. Okay, so there it is. There's our little ghosty boy. All right, it's on there fairly securely. Now, I'm sure if I grabbed it and ripped, I would be able to rip it off. That's just, Bondic's I'm not soldering it on. But for purposes of making your little plastic toy soldierman look really nice on the tabletop, it's very good. I also, what I use the CA glue for as well is I have magnets on the bottoms of all of my miniatures that I use to keep them in place and keep storage. Super glue works great for that because of the surface area. And then sometimes I'll put a little drop of super glue down with the Bondic so that there's an adhesive in there. I honestly don't know if that improves things. I like to think that it does, but I don't know. Sometimes I put it down just to get an initial, even though that hold isn't going to stay, just to get it stuck on just enough so that it's easier to hold the thing on while I put the Bondic coat around it. So maybe there is something to that. But I guess the plus side is, we pay a lot of money for these models, especially if you're buying Games Workshop, right? There's definitely less expensive models out there, 3D prints, everything else. But if you pay for the Games Workshop models, they're not cheap. And so if you play with them, ultimately they are just models. They're just little pieces of plastic. They're going to get bent. It's going to get stuff that snaps off. The worst for me is when you can see something's almost broken. And so you know the pain of the break is coming, but you fool yourself by saying, "Oh wait, no, it's not yet. It can last one more game. It can last one more game." So all it does is really prolong the hurt until it finally snaps off. And But once they break, they are pretty easy to fix to an acceptable level, right? Now, if I really wanted to fix this, if I really wanted to make it perfect, I could strip the paint off the whole thing. I could then use some plastic glue. I might use some green stuff to sculpt around it. I mean, there's things you can do to make it look perfect, but you don't need to. To make sure that it still looks good on the tabletop, all you need is a little super glue, little Bondic, 4 or 5 minutes, not a lot of time. So even though it's sad when something breaks and you have to fix it, it's not the end of the world. It's really pretty easy to deal with. And it shouldn't be something that I've heard from at least one person that they're scared to play with the models. They actually have some scared to play with the models because they don't want them to break. And so hopefully this is a little bit reassuring that even when they break, and they will, it's not the end of the world. It'll be fine. So let us know in the comments below. How do you repair models? Maybe my system's effective. Maybe you're looking at it thinking I'm like a caveman banging rocks together and you've got the secret. And if you do, please let me know. How do you repair broken models? What's the best way that you get your things back to a battle-ready tabletop stand? This has been another episode of Battle Ready. Thanks so much for watching.